you ever looked in the mirror and wondered where the time went? You see wrinkles and grey hair staring back, but inside your head, you still feel like you're 25 years old. If this sounds familiar, you're experiencing one of the most fascinating psychological phenomena of our time, and you're definitely not alone. Today, we're diving deep into the hidden psychology of seniors who feel decades younger than their chronological age. This isn't just about positive thinking or denial about getting older. There's actual hard science behind why some people maintain a youthful mental identity while others feel every year of their age, and the implications for your health and happiness might shock you. I'm going to reveal why your brain might be stuck in a time warp, the surprising benefits this psychological quirk provides, and most importantly, how you can harness this mental fountain of youth regardless of how many candles were on your last birthday cake. By the end of this video, you'll understand why feeling young inside isn't just a nice sentiment, it's actually a superpower that could add years to your life. Let's start with something that might blow your mind. Research shows that the vast majority of people over 60 feel at least 20 years younger than their actual age. Think about that for a second. If you're 70, you probably feel like you're 50 inside. If you're 80, your mental age is likely hovering around 60. This isn't wishful thinking or some kind of mass delusion. It's a genuine psychological phenomenon that researchers call subjective age, and it's one of the most consistent findings in aging psychology. But here's where it gets really interesting. Your subjective age, that number you feel inside, is actually a better predictor of how long you'll live than your actual chronological age. Studies tracking thousands of people over decades have found that those who feel younger than their years have lower rates of heart disease, better cognitive function, and significantly longer lifespans. We're talking about a difference of several years of life expectancy just based on how old you feel inside your own head. Now you might be wondering, what exactly creates this internal age gap? Why do some people feel like they're trapped in the wrong decade while others seem to embrace every year? The answer lies in something psychologists call the reminiscence bump. Your brain has a tendency to encode memories most vividly during your late teens and 20s. These are typically the years when you're experiencing the most novel situations, making major life decisions, forming your adult identity, and having peak emotional experiences. When you're reflecting on your life or thinking about who you are, your mind naturally gravitates toward these highly encoded memories from your youth. It's like your brain has bookmarked these experiences as the definitive version of yourself. You remember the excitement of your first job, the intensity of early relationships, the sense of endless possibility that defined those years. Because these memories are so vivid and emotionally charged, they feel more real and present than more recent experiences. This creates a fascinating psychological disconnect. Your mirror shows you one thing, but your internal narrative is anchored in a completely different time period. You still feel like the person who stayed up all night talking about life with friends, who felt invincible and ready to conquer the world. That person isn't gone. They're just wearing a different body now. But there's another crucial factor at play here, and it has to do with how our society treats aging. We live in a culture that equates youth with energy, possibility, and vitality, while aging is often associated with decline, limitation, and irrelevance. When you feel young inside, you're not just remembering your past self. You're also rejecting these negative cultural narratives about what it means to be older. This rejection isn't just psychological, it's physiological too. People who maintain a younger, subjective age show measurably different biological markers than those who feel their chronological age. Their cells age more slowly, their immune systems stay stronger, and their brains remain more plastic and adaptable. It's as if their bodies are responding to their mind's belief about their true age. The power of this mind-body connection becomes even more apparent when we look at how subjective age affects behavior. Seniors who feel younger are more likely to try new activities, maintain social connections, exercise regularly, and pursue challenging goals. They approach life with curiosity rather than resignation. They see possibilities where others see limitations. This isn't just correlation, it's causation. Feeling young literally makes you act younger, which in turn keeps you healthier and more engaged with life. Now let's talk about the flip side. What happens to people who feel their chronological age or even older? These individuals often fall into what researchers call age stereotyping. They've internalized society's expectations about what someone their age should be doing, feeling, or capable of achieving. They start to see themselves as the stereotypical senior citizen, complete with all the limitations that label implies. This psychological shift has devastating consequences. When you believe you're supposed to slow down, you actually do slow down. When you expect your memory to fail, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you accept that your best years are behind you, you stop investing in your future. The mind-body connection works both ways, and negative age beliefs create negative age outcomes. But here's the empowering part of this story. Subjective age isn't fixed. It's not something you're born with or stuck with forever. It's a mindset that can be cultivated and maintained throughout your life. The seniors who feel youngest aren't necessarily the ones who won the genetic lottery or had the easiest lives. They're the ones who've learned to see aging as an opportunity rather than a limitation. One of the most powerful predictors of youthful subjective age is what psychologists call future time perspective. This is your sense of how much meaningful time you have left and how you plan to use it. People who maintain long-term goals, who are excited about future experiences, and who believe their best chapters are still being written, tend to feel much younger than those who see themselves as winding down. This future orientation creates a fascinating psychological loop. When you feel like you have time ahead of you, you invest in yourself differently. You learn new skills, nurture relationships, take care of your health, and seek out novel experiences. These activities, in turn, reinforce your sense of vitality and possibility, making you feel even younger. It's a self-reinforcing cycle of growth and engagement. Physical activity plays a huge role in this process too, but not in the way you might think. Yes, exercise keeps your body younger, but more importantly, it keeps your mind younger. When you can still climb stairs without getting winded, lift groceries without strain, or dance at a wedding without sitting down, your brain gets constant feedback that you're still capable and strong. This physical competence translates directly into psychological youthfulness. But it's not just about maintaining your current abilities. The seniors who feel youngest are often the ones still challenging themselves physically. They're taking up new sports, learning dance styles, or training for events they've never attempted before. They're not trying to recapture their youth. They're creating new versions of vitality that work for their current life stage. Social connections are another crucial piece of the puzzle. Humans are inherently social creatures, and isolation is one of the fastest ways to accelerate both physical and psychological aging. People who maintain diverse social networks, including relationships with people much younger than themselves, tend to feel more youthful. Exposure to different perspectives, energy levels, and cultural references keeps their minds flexible and their identities dynamic. This is why retirement can be such a psychological minefield. For many people, leaving the workforce means losing daily social interaction, intellectual challenges, and sense of purpose all at once. The most successful retirees are those who quickly replace these elements with new activities, relationships, and goals. They don't see retirement as the beginning of the end, but as the start of a new chapter with different but equally meaningful opportunities. Technology presents an interesting case study in subjective aging. Seniors who embrace new technologies, learn to use social media, or adapt to digital communication often maintain more youthful self-concepts than those who resist these changes. It's not that technology itself keeps you young, but rather that the willingness to learn and adapt signals to yourself that you're still growing and changing. The relationship between health and subjective age is particularly complex. Poor health can certainly make someone feel older, but the reverse is also true. Feeling older can actually create poor health outcomes. This is where the psychology gets really fascinating. Your subjective age influences how you interpret physical sensations. A 40-year-old with back pain sees it as a temporary issue to be addressed. An 80-year-old with the same back pain might see it as proof of their advancing age and declining body. But seniors who maintain younger subjective ages interpret the same physical symptoms differently. They're more likely to seek treatment, more willing to try new therapies, and more optimistic about recovery. They don't accept pain or limitation as inevitable parts of aging. This proactive approach to health challenges often leads to better outcomes and reinforces their sense of youthful capability. Mental stimulation works similarly to physical exercise in maintaining youthful, subjective age. People who continue learning new things, solving complex problems, or engaging in creative activities keep their minds sharp and their identities dynamic. They see themselves as students rather than has-beens. Whether it's learning a new language, mastering a musical instrument, or pursuing an advanced degree, intellectual challenges provide evidence that growth is still possible. But perhaps the most important factor in maintaining a youthful mindset is purpose. Viktor Frankl famously wrote that humans can endure almost anything if they have a why to live for. Seniors who feel youngest are those who found new purposes or maintained old ones throughout their aging process. They might be volunteering for causes they care about, mentoring younger people, creating art, or building businesses. They see themselves as contributors rather than consumers. This sense of purpose creates what psychologists call generativity, the desire to guide and nurture the next generation. When you're focused on what you can give rather than what you're losing, aging becomes about accumulating wisdom and influence rather than declining ability. You start to see your experience as an asset rather than a burden. The role of curiosity in maintaining youthful subjective age cannot be overstated. Children are naturally curious about everything, constantly asking questions and exploring their world. As we age, many people lose this sense of wonder and settle into familiar routines. But seniors who maintain their curiosity about life, who still get excited about learning new things or exploring new places, tend to feel much younger than their chronological age. This curiosity often manifests in what researchers call openness to experience. It's one of the personality traits that remains most predictive of successful aging. People high in openness are willing to try new foods, visit unfamiliar places, meet different types of people, and consider alternative viewpoints. They approach life with a beginner's mind regardless of how many decades they've been alive. Humor is another powerful tool for maintaining psychological youth. The ability to laugh at yourself, find joy in everyday situations, and maintain a playful attitude toward life's challenges keeps your spirit light and your perspective fresh. Seniors who can still be silly, who enjoy wordplay and gentle pranks, who don't take themselves too seriously, often feel decades younger than their more serious peers. The relationship with time itself changes when you maintain a youthful, subjective age. Instead of feeling like time is running out, you feel like you're still in the middle of your story. You plan for tomorrow, next month, next year, with the same enthusiasm you had in your 30s or 40s. You don't see every birthday as a step closer to the end, but as another year of experience to build upon. This temporal perspective has profound implications for decision-making. When you feel young inside, you're more likely to make investments in your future self. You'll renovate your house, plant trees you won't see mature, learn skills that'll take years to master, and nurture relationships that will grow over time. You live as if your best years might still be ahead of you rather than behind you. Sleep patterns and energy levels also play into subjective age in interesting ways. People who maintain good sleep hygiene and stable energy throughout the day feel younger than those who struggle with fatigue or insomnia. But it's not just about physical energy. Mental energy, the enthusiasm and motivation you bring to daily activities, is equally important. When you wake up excited about the day ahead rather than dreading it, you feel younger regardless of your chronological age. The concept of role models becomes crucial here. Seniors who feel youngest often have other older adults in their lives who are living proof that aging doesn't mean declining. They see 80-year-olds starting new businesses, 70-year-olds learning to surf, or 90-year-olds writing their first novels. These examples expand their sense of what's possible at any age and reinforce their own youthful possibilities. Media consumption and cultural engagement also influence subjective age. People who stay current with music, movies, literature, and cultural trends tend to feel younger than those who get stuck in the preferences of their youth. This doesn't mean abandoning what you love, but rather remaining open to new influences and expressions. When you can appreciate both classical music and contemporary artists, you maintain a more dynamic and youthful identity. The physical environment you create around yourself sends constant messages about your identity and capabilities. Seniors who feel youngest often maintain homes that are vibrant, updated, and adapted for active living, rather than resigned to limitations. They invest in comfortable furniture that supports their current needs while still reflecting their personal style and interests. Financial attitudes play a surprising role in subjective aging too. People who continue to see money as a tool for creating experiences and opportunities tend to feel younger than those who shift into purely protective financial modes. This doesn't mean being financially irresponsible, but rather maintaining an investment mindset about your resources and possibilities. The integration of past and present is perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of healthy psychological aging. People who feel youngest aren't trying to recapture their youth or pretend they're still 25. Instead, they're integrating their accumulated wisdom with their maintained vitality. They honor their experience while staying open to growth. They're proud of their journey while remaining excited about their destination. This integration allows for what researchers call successful aging, where people maintain high physical and cognitive functioning, avoid disease and disability, and remain actively engaged with life. But it goes beyond just maintaining what you had. It's about continuing to evolve and adapt while staying true to your core self. As we wrap up this exploration of the psychology behind feeling young inside, remember that your chronological age is just one number among many that define you. Your subjective age, your sense of possibility, your openness to growth, and your enthusiasm for life are all choices you can make regardless of how many years you've been on this planet. The seniors who thrive aren't necessarily the ones who age the slowest physically. They're the ones who refuse to let their chronological age dictate their psychological age. They understand that feeling young inside isn't about denial or delusion. It's about maintaining the growth mindset, curiosity, and sense of possibility that made life exciting when they were younger. Your age is not just a number, but more importantly, how old you feel is not just a feeling. It's a powerful predictor of your health, happiness, and longevity. So the next time you look in the mirror and feel surprised by what you see, remember that the youthful person looking back from inside is the real you. That energy, curiosity, and zest for life aren't remnants of your past. They're resources for your future. The fountain of youth isn't a mythical spring hidden somewhere in Florida. It's a mindset accessible to anyone willing to believe that their best chapters might still be unwritten. Whether you're 40, 60, or 80, your psychological age is ultimately up to you.